welcome to my third discussion video. My name is MyGhost1000, and I am the dog hunter for hire. This good to you keeps on coming. Jordan, thank you. Hey, don't send flowers, just send cash. Thank you for that interesting introduction, Jordan. Now on to this week's topic. Now, with New York Comic Con giving a litany of Bionicle material, it seems as though my previous ways for the franchise are, for the most part, been debunked. I mean, the sets look great. They are bringing back gift functionality, which is a total plus, while still keeping the posability aspect from the Hero Factory sets. Now, I will be going into more detail on the sets themselves in a later video, but these are my general thoughts on them. Now, my main concern for this new wave of Bionicle was the story. And as I said, in New York Comic Con, they released a lot of Bionicle news for 2015. This included a trailer for the new Bionicle storyline. Now, I personally was never at New York Comic Con, but I did see a video for the 2015 storyline, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. I was at New York Comic Con, Ghost. Really? Well, what they have there besides Bionicle related stuff? Well, that's what I thought. On to my thoughts. Now, from the look of the trailer, it seems as though Bionicle is going for a reboot, which I am all for. Well, I sure as Kazoni am not. The original story was awesome. So much so that they should make a continuation of the story rather than a reboot. Let's keep an open mind here, Jardik, and look at the facts. Sure, being at the forefront of this franchise since it began in 2001, I am a huge fan of the original storyline. And like I said in the first video, the reason I liked it so much was because it had depth and layers to it. From the characters to the set locations to the quests, the storyline was really well developed, entertaining, and overall impactful. I really don't think I'd be the person I am today without Bionicle. That being said, I will also acknowledge that although the storyline was great, it had some flaws. Flaws? How can it have flaws? Every storyline is not without flaws, Jardart. Even this one. One of which was in 2005 during the Metro Nui story arc. Now, in 2004, at the end of the Modern Nui story arc, they introduced a new set location called Metro Nui, which is also known as the City of Legends. There we got introduced to a new tour team, each of which controlling the 6 basic elements: fire, water, earth, air, ice, and stone. Now, in the beginning of the story arc, their leader, the Toa of Fire, wasn't really all that confident in his role as leader. However, as the story progressed, he became more confident and showed that he was a capable leader for this new tour team. In 2005, though, he was shown to be more arrogant. Then he turned to the dark side, and at the end of the series, he was brought back. Now, at first I didn't really catch on to this odd behavior, but the more I think about it now, it's pretty odd. I mean, you have a guy that goes from unsure of himself, to confident, to arrogant, to evil, then back to good again. All within the course of 2 years. Or in the storylines arc, roughly a few months. Now, I know what Lake was going for with the hero's journey, but to have a guy go through 5 different personality traits all within the course of a few months, That seems a little off kilter. Now, I'm not by any means saying that the 2005 story arc is bad. I'm just saying, in my opinion, it felt a little off. Another issue I had with the previous story was that it wasn't genderly diverse. There weren't a lot of girl characters in the original Bionicle story arc. And all the girl heroes that we got from the story arc were the tour of order of their respective teams. And there were only 2 female villains within the entire Bionicle story arc. Now, I know there are more female characters within the expanded universe of Bionicle, but I'm only including the ones that are actually made into sets. Those female characters that were in the main Bionicle story arc were pretty strong and pretty well developed in their own right. I just wish there could have been more of them. Ooh, I see what you're saying, Ghost. And I do mean those really strong, really developed female characters, Jardark. Oh. I would also like to see them using different elements. How Bionicle was set up in 2001, the elements were very gender fixed, meaning that fire, earth, air, ice, and stone were all male groups, while water was the only female group. Now, there were exceptions to this rule, such as light and shadow, but for the most part, each element only had one gender to their group. Now, if Bionicle 2015 was a continuation to the original Bionicle story arc, LEGO would kind of have their hands tied. The way that Bionicle 2015 story is set up, LEGO would kind of have to explain how the Toa got to their new forms and abilities. LEGO would also have to keep the tone of the original Bionicle story arc, which, based on their other properties, is something that doesn't really fit in with their direction. They would also have to explain how there's this new threat. When Bionicle ended in 2010, most of the issues were pretty much resolved. Sure, there are a few loose ends to tie up, but for the most part, yeah, it was pretty much resolved. They would also have to keep the flaws from the original Bionicle story arc, or explain how those flaws are no longer apparent. You see what I'm getting at? Yeah, I kinda do, actually. It would be more work for LEGO to continue the continuity of the original Bionicle story arc than to basically hit the refresh button and reboot the franchise. With a reboot, LEGO can basically fix the problems of the old Bionicle story arc and present it in a way that will be appealing to both old fans and the newer generation without muddling with the continuity of the old story arc. Based on what I've seen in the trailer, it looks like LEGO is making all the right moves for this new Bionicle story arc. Now, I could be wrong, and LEGO could screw up Bionicle's new story arc. But we have to keep in mind that the old one is still here. The old one can't be affected by the new story arc, no matter how bad this new story arc could be. However, if the new story arc for Bionicle is just as good as we hope it to be, the new fans might be open to looking at the older material. With that being said, I will bring this video to a close. If you feel like me that a reboot's the best way to go, or if you think I'm off my rocker, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. I would also like to hear about your speculations on the new Bionicle story arc. And And today's YouTube Spotlight goes to Scott TJ for his series, The Hydros Chronicles, and its sequel series, Society of Guardians. It was the first Bionicle series that I ever seen on YouTube, and I find the story to be quite entertaining and in-depth. I will see you all next week.